The freedom to not have holes in your guts is,
Yeah.
the
We're
one
writing
that
our
I'm
own Bill
after.
of Rights, Constitution, whatever we want to call it, and we'll stick that down at the top. Hello, all, and a very happy whatever day you're watching this. This is a very special relationship, or a which looks at the UK and US politics through special glasses and not at all through the naked eye. My name is Matt Johnson. I look at all the UK politics, and I have a show called The Interesting Times. And my co-host stateside is Andrea Bridges-Smith, who on her show, the Phoenix News Network, looks at the American mess. So, Andrea, what's happening from the land of open carries and chili dogs?
Oh, there's not too much going on over here. Let's see. Former leader of the free world stuck in a courtroom all week. Typical America stuff. Not much to report, really.
Yeah, I find that hard to believe.
So there actually have been a couple of interesting things in the Trump trial. And if you're wondering, which trial is it now? Very fair question. It's the one where he falsified campaign finance documents to conceal a hush money payment to a porn star. It's a
That's
fun
my
one.
favorite. That's my favorite trial. I love it. It is
Everyone's got a
interesting. Yeah,
favorite.
yeah,
It's a good one. It's a good one.
yeah.
So, first of all, Donald Trump is complaining that he has been silenced and robbed of his First Amendment right to free speech because the judge has put a gag order on him. He expressed that opinion rather free speechily over the course of about 27 Truth Social posts, which is a social media network that he himself owns. Kind of hard to silence him there. And he also gave that point of view in front of crowds of people and reporters who are camped outside of the courtroom, ready to hang on his every word and record it and broadcast it to the globe. They say silence is golden, but we wouldn't fucking know because the man can't shut up.
Yeah, there's plenty of that going on over here at the moment too.
Yeah, it's an epidemic. So the gag order that the judge slapped him with basically says, "Hey, every time you talk shit about someone, they get death threats because your followers are insane. So no talking shit about anyone in the case because we need to stay focused on the trial and not on death threats." And he was like, "Okay, got it, got it. So I will just talk smack about the judge's daughter instead." And the judge was like, "Donald."
I can't even imagine what he was saying about the judge's daughter. Oh, actually, scrap that. I probably can. Yeah.
I assure you that you can, yes. Also, Donald Trump apparently fell asleep in the courtroom this week a couple of times. I mean, can you
Couple of
imagine?
times.
Couple of times, yeah. A recurring
Sorry,
theme.
does he snore? Does he snore?
No, he's just been kind of doing this like drooping head thing, where his
Right.
eyes are closed, and then he kind of like pops back up. One of his lawyers apparently tried to hand him a note, and he just ignored it because he was nodding off. I can't imagine falling asleep during a trial that could determine whether or not you remain a free man, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Not
mean,
a
I'm
good
told that
sign.
no, I'm told that the only way that they could wake him up is by putting a golf club in his hand. That always kind of peps him up. Uh, so yeah, everything's going great over here. How's it going over there?
Well, funny enough, we've had our own free speech movement here, a moment here,
Mm,
rather. In a touch of poetic justice, Trump's buddy, Nigel Farage, and
mm-hmm.
Suella hate marches, Braverman, whatever, have been banned from speaking at a far-right conference in, you're going to love this, Andrea, Brussels. The mayor there, of course, Brussels is the home of the EU half the year,
Sure.
which Farage hated before all of this happened. So now, of course, you've got Farage's all, oh, you're denying my free speech. Well, Nigel, you're all in favour of Brexit, and this is sovereignty in action. And of course, Wella Bradman, so keen to ban the pro-Palestinian marches in the UK, is outraged when someone bans not just her and the frog-faced Führer, but Viktor Orban and a nasty piece of work French politician called Eric Zemmour. Okay, I'm no fan of banning free speech, and yes, even Bradman and Farage, but the problem is that, as we saw during the referendum, Farage was allowed to say virtually anything. Say with Trump, allowed to say anything that they were allowed, unchallenged, and people just lapped it up. So it's good that people have just gone enough with their lies and just shut it down.
I completely agree. Everyone needs to lie less, please. If you're a politician, less lying. I know that's difficult because it's kind of baked into the whole deal, but we would really like to see less of it.
See, that would be a campaign ad that would get my vote. Okay, there's something else happening over here at the moment. Now, we don't have a Trump-like character to bolster the news, or indeed, thankfully, to ruin the country. But just because Britain Trump is off around the world, showing everyone what the world missed out on, doesn't mean the country can't pull off some stupendously bad ideas. The continuing saga of stupidity that is the Rwanda plan is now getting to the point where it's likely to be implemented. Even the Rwandans are getting fed up with it and have sold off a number of accommodation allocated for refugees that we simply weren't going to be sending there.
Well, it sounds like it's all going according to plan so far, no?
Yeah, right. So now we spoke of, I think, a few weeks ago about the two houses in Parliament, the House of Lords, who are unelected, and House of Commons, which is. Now, I'm not sure what it says about the average British voter, but it always seems to be the House of Lords that has much more of a grip on reality. For instance, the MPs have just rejected the amendments Lords had requested on the Rwanda bill, including exemptions to deportation for those that have risked their lives helping service personnel in Afghanistan, and also those that were victims of slavery, because I'm guessing we only want worthy refugees. I don't know what that leaves us then.
And by worthy refugees, do they mean the white ones, I'm guessing?
Oh, bingo. Yeah.
Yeah. Displaced Norwegians, always welcome.
Quite right. Yeah, absolutely. So has been some good news for the government, though. Rwanda has now been declared a safe country. Oh, I'm sorry. What that should be, a law has passed saying that Rwanda is a safe country, meaning it's illegal to say it isn't. So if Labour when Labour get into power, they're going to scrap it. They've called it fundamentally unworkable, unaffordable, and unlawful. Well, duh. And Labour's immigration minister is a chap called Stephen Kinnock, said he hoped the Conservatives will come to understand that hard graft and common sense are always more effective than the sugar rush of a tabloid front page. I mean, it's like he doesn't even know them at all, does he?
Not even a little bit. Also, apparently, I've been doing tabloids all wrong. I thought you were supposed to read them and not lick them. I'm going to have to look into that. So, Matt, I know that you are all the way across the pond, but I do have a favor to ask.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Can you please take Liz Truss back? Because she's over here promoting her book and whining about the deep state, and I've had enough.
Absolutely not.
Yeah, apparently she said in an interview that she was forced out of office by, quote, the administrative state, which I assume is akin to the deep state. You know, the British version of things is always more fancy than the American version of things. You know, if we could just do a real quick fact check there, she was forced out by her own party, not a shadowy cabal of hooded figures in a dark cave somewhere. It was the people that she worked with every day. They were the ones that got rid of her.
I mean, she makes friends wherever she goes, doesn't she? One of Labour's new campaign ads is actually a shot of Liz Truss saying she had unfinished business and a tagline which simply stated, "Be afraid, be very afraid."
That is a perfect ad. I love that. So in reading this interview with her, there was a couple of other interesting points. So she said, quote, I assumed that I would be able to drive through the agenda on which I was elected. How wrong I was. And just two quick things about that. First, Matt, do you remember there being a general election where you had the opportunity to vote for or against her?
Well, exactly. I always thought we voted our leaders in. How wrong I was.
Right. You're in good company with Liz then. The other thing there is that she's complaining about not getting to do her agenda when the very first thing she did that was of any consequence tanked the economy. You know, like that's like a toddler juggling chainsaws because it's the toddler's agenda. And then when the toddler loses a finger and you try to say, ooh, maybe let's put away the chainsaws, the toddler says, but it's my agenda. If the agenda does harm, you should change the agenda, no?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, it's completely ridiculous. She's now been surrounded by sycophants who said, "Oh, she was never given the chance. She was never given the chance." It's like, how short is your memory? Because our memory lasts over a year. We remembered how much of a chance she was given. It was a nightmare from day one, and didn't improve at any stage. It was like she was in post for 49 days, I think it was. And she
Yeah.
overstayed her welcome by at least 47 of those. At the time, she was saying, "Oh, yes, clearly it's not working." I mean, now she's blaming everyone and their dog. It's the wokies, it's the socialists. I mean, like Rishi Sunak, I presume.
Yeah, ironically, it seems like she wants everybody to have memories that are as short as her tenure in office. You
Yes,
know,
yes, quite.
it's like, let's just forget what exactly happened. It was so long ago. I love the idea of Rishi Sunak being a pinko communist. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
So Matt, I believe we have talked about how Marjorie Taylor Greene is threatening to kick off another round of House Speaker musical chairs. First of all, do you have musical chairs over there? Do you guys do that?
Yeah, yeah, we do. I'll be honest, been a while since I played it. Tremendous fun though. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Now there is a second representative who is saying that he will back up Marjorie Taylor Greene, which means that there could be another one of these House Speaker freak out vote just fiascos to come. And honestly, I don't even know if we can handle that much fun right now. Like Trump is on trial, another House Speaker fight. I think I'd laugh so hard that I might explode. I'm a little worried about it.
So wait a minute. Is MTG saying she wants to be House Speaker, or is she just wants to get rid of Mike Johnson then?
She just wants to get rid of him. I have no idea who she'd rather have instead at this point. I'm guessing maybe a honey badger to match her mood, or at the very least, someone who will capitulate to her every whim with no questions asked. Someone who vomits a little anytime someone says the word compromise might be nice. Someone just absolutely insufferable. I think that sounds great. Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah. Yeah, do keep us up to date. Obviously, you do anyway. Keep us up to date with the latest goings on with the House Speaker musical chairs. It can't be any worse than Kevin McCarthy, can it? Surely.
I mean, that one was
Like you'd
messy,
like to
but
think so.
you would like to. Well, honestly, for my channel and for the sake of this podcast, it might be better if it was messier. But, sometimes you have to wonder, do we want them to accomplish things? Some of the things that they want to accomplish are questionable at best, So I don't know. Maybe it's better that they're fighting with each other and not getting things done. But on the other hand, there are a large number of things that do need to get done. So I don't really know what to root for anymore, honestly.
Oh, one final bit of news, Andrea. So, in a remotely sane country, this would be the top story, but in the UK at the moment, it's an add-on. The House of Commons has passed a law banning smoking for anyone born after 2009. The
Okay.
idea being that as each year passes, the generation won't be smokers. Essentially, we'll be getting rid of smoking.
Right.
Now, this bill has passed, and on the face of it, it looks like a good idea. I'm an ex-smoker, and for those that have never smoked in their life, you've missed out on nothing. All having a ciggy does is relax you to the point you would never be if you never had a cigarette. Unlike any other addiction I can think of, which might change your mental state or your physical condition or financial health, cigarettes really do nothing for you. They are ridiculously expensive. So, as I say, good idea, right?
Yes, I am extremely anti smoking. So, yes, on its face, I actually love this idea.
But it's only when you start to delve in a little bit, you think, hang on, how does this work? First of all, if you're a shop selling cigarettes, there will come a point where you just won't be anymore. So do you decrease your stock year by year? If so, by how much? Imagine having the last packet of cigarettes in your area, right? I mean, it'd be a real scramble.
Right.
Then, but the big thing is, what about those coming from overseas? I mean, they haven't stopped smoking at any age.
Right.
Well, they not necessarily. So if you come to this country as, say, an 18-year-old smoker, when everybody 18 and below is basically not smoking, do you have to then go cold turkey while you're here? Or do you get exemptions? As I say, I mean, it looks like a good idea, but there's so much in the way of questions. One other point as well is that quite a few of those on the right, Liz Truss, Suella Braverman, Kwasi Kwarteng, had all voted against this bill because, people should have the freedom to spend 10, £12 a time on an increased chance of getting lung cancer. So isn't it interesting when they talk about freedom for other people, it's all the crap stuff, like the freedom to smoke. When they talk about the freedom for themselves, it's kind of stuff like talking nonsensical crap. But for you, Andrea, I suspect you'd swap the freedom to smoke for the freedom to have universal free healthcare, right?
Yes, in a second. I mean, lock the smokes up in chains and let me get my medication without calling around to 6 different pharmacies. That is the freedom that I would like. Or the freedom to make decisions about what happens inside my own body might be a nice
Yes.
little freedom to have, and you can just hang on to those cigarettes. It's funny that you mentioned this because it's kind of the same thing over here. There's these people who keep yapping about the freedom to shoot anything that moves. They want to have the freedom to carry their gun everywhere and do whatever they want with it and just be constantly strapped like they're going to a SWAT team meeting, even though they're just going to Starbucks. And those are the same people who want your kids to not have the freedom to read library books that they find objectionable, even though their parents might be totally okay with them.
Yes.
I personally, I would like the freedom to let my kids read and the freedom to not get shot. Can I have the freedom to not get shot? That would be
The
great.
freedom to not get shot sounds quite important. Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah, it's a big one. The freedom to not have holes in your guts is,
Yeah.
the
We're
one
writing
that
our
I'm
own Bill
after.
of Rights, Constitution, whatever we want to call it, and we'll stick that down at the top. So we're not here next week, are we?
No, we're gonna
Unfortunately,
take
but we
next
are.
week off.
Yeah, but we are here the following week, which for us over here in the UK is one day before our local elections and the
Oh,
mayoral elections and the local police commissioners as well. Which brings me on quite nicely segue, if you like, to campaign ad lies and
okay.
how it always seems to be those on the right who are just go absolutely overboard about it. I think I saw on Facebook they were doing this is going back before I think it was shortly after the Brexit referendum when Boris Johnson was about to get elected. They were looking at lies that Conservatives did, lies that Labour did. I think it was Conservatives were had about 40 lies to every one that Labour did, or something like that. But they're still
Wow.
at it. I mean, on Twitter at the moment, Sadiq Khan, they're kind of aiming for Sadiq Khan, the mayor of London. I don't think it's going to make a lot of difference. I think Sadiq Khan's still going to walk it, but they're turning around and saying, "Oh, he's going to push for pay per mile." And it's like that. He's actually now turned around and says, I never even looked at pay per mile. That was Boris Johnson. He's like, oh, well, you can't believe him. He's a liar. We told you he was a liar. So therefore he's lying about this. He's just like, where does it end? You know?
Right.
Um,
Right.
and I wonder if there was much in the way of that in as far as, the Republicans go. I imagine that the British Conservatives have very much taken a leaf out of the Republicans' handbook on this.
Yeah, I mean, I think as far as the immigration issue goes
Mm.
specifically, there's the language that they use in their ads is like, we are being invaded by a horde of criminals, and it's like, no, we have a lot of people coming here who are
Yeah.
trying to make better lives for their families. Now, there may be a few criminals mixed in there, but there's a few criminals mixed in anywhere. Like, it's not,
Yes.
And they've actually done studies, and my husband is a sociologist, and there's he's researched this, and they have found that immigrants actually, first generation immigrants actually commit fewer crimes than the rest of the population.
Okay. What,
So,
like a president or something, you mean, might do?
yeah.
Ex-president.
Well, he's a bit of an outlier. He's kind of on the end of the bell curve, because he's, I think, currently at like 87 felony counts. He was up to 91 at some point, but they scooted a few off. So he's only at 87 of them now. Whew, what a relief. And judging by how well he's handling the whole courtroom experience, those other 4 would have been very taxing for him. But
we got the same sort of situation. They very much want to leave it at the door of immigrants, if you like, and they're using this as an attack on Labour, because Labour basically, as I mentioned, turned around and said the Rwanda deal is crap, because the Rwanda deal is crap and we're going to get rid of it. So Conservatives said, oh, you got no plan then? It's just like, yeah, we got a plan. We're going to smash, the smuggling gangs. That's our plan. We're going to work.
Yeah.
We're going to work with other European countries to put this in place. You remember working with other European countries? You remember that? Yes, that's what we're going to be doing. So yes.
How outdated.
Yes.
Yeah. The other thing that we get a lot of duplicity about over here is the abortion thing. So, Donald Trump has been saying in campaign rallies, and a lot of Republicans have kind of latched onto this talking point, is that, we talked about this a bit last week, that Democrats want to have abortions after birth, which that's not an abortion. That's murder.
Yeah.
And just this idea that, Democrats just hate children and Republicans are the only ones who care about the well-being of children. And, it's like, well, do you want to pass any legislation that will ensure that children have enough food to eat? No. Okay. Free school lunches? No. Okay. Childcare, licensed, well-regulated childcare that's affordable? No. Okay. Not that either. Interesting. Child labor, though, yes, we can do child labor laws. Let's get those babies to work. So, when you actually look at who's really concerned about the well-being of those teeny tiny little babies, the argument just doesn't hold up.
The similarities are spookily accurate, I have to say. Yeah. Out of all of this, I mean, I can see already what Rishi Sunak's going to say after getting wiped the floor with them come election. Can't wait.
Yeah.
It's nice because it's a little bit of a teaser to the general election coming later. And as I mentioned before, Rishi Sunak's going, oh, we've got work to do. We can't have a general election. We've got work. And we're all sitting there going, yeah, we can wait. We can wait. Just
take your time.
Take your time. We've got to get it in by a certain point, but we can wait.
So this May election is going to be a very big deal then.
It's the second sort of thing behind obviously a general election. So what happens with the local councillors is 15,000 or something like that, 18,000 across the country. And what happens is, because they don't have a local elections every single 4 years, they split it into about 3 sort of times. So we come back to them every 4 years. So like the mayoral elections, that's a biggie, because once you get past the actual government, you're after the mayor, which is essentially a person looking after 9 million people, which is really double the population of Scotland, for instance. So it's a fair chunk of the country, as you can imagine.
And I assume that the Conservatives are about to take an absolute shellacking, probably, in that May election.
Yes. And especially in London, at least they should do, because I'm sure I've mentioned before this woman, Susan Hall, absolute shocking. Yeah, she really doesn't have the first clue, and it's just hilarious the amount of sort of rubbish that she comes up with. And I think I mentioned a while ago that her being put in place there showed that Conservatives have essentially given up on London, because she's not, even as a Conservative, she's not competent,
Right. I am looking forward to that. Normally, over in the US, we don't pay as much attention to other countries' elections, but I am very excited about this one, just to see, really what I'm looking forward to is Rishi Sunak's statement the day after. Like, what nuts is he going to do?
If you like. I can give it to you now.
Please.
Okay.
What's he going to say?
Well, these results are always disappointing, but of course, I'm getting on with what the people want, which is my 5 priorities, which is stop the boats, cut NHS waiting times, reduce debt, grow the economy, and what's the other one? Reduce inflation or something like that. None of which, by the way, apart from reducing inflation, he's actually done so far. So he had up until the end of the last year, he hasn't done it, and now he's saying, oh, I'm still getting on with what people want. No, what people want is a general election. So if you were getting on with what people wanted, you'd have a general election. So yeah, it's the normal guff, really.
Yeah, there's this thing that they've been bringing up over here, the will of the people. Like
Yes,
we need to let abortion go to the states so that the will of the people can be expressed. And it's like, well, the 3/4 of this country, the will of those people is that we don't do this, and yet here we are. What's up
yes,
with that? This is not the will of the people.
ridiculous.
Ridiculous. That's the perfect word to describe both sides at this point. But hopefully, you are starting to emerge to some brighter times this year, and hopefully we will as well. But in the middle,
Yeah.
it's going to be interesting.
We should talk interesting at some stage before either of our elections about the Labour Party and the possibility of a Labour Party with either president. Because I think obviously the Labour Party will hope it's Biden. Let's be honest, most of the world outside of North Korea and maybe Russia hope it's Biden.
Right.
But yeah, as I say, the Labour Party will hope it's Biden. They get on better with Biden. There have been some fairly vocal members of Starmer's front team who have called out Trump and his sexual sort of, sexual assaults, if you like.
Right.
So it'll be interesting to see how that plays. If let's go with if Donald Trump gets elected.
Yes, that there would definitely be some friction there, I would assume. But he'd have Kim Jong Un to hang out with, so he wouldn't be totally alone. So.
And Vlad, of course, good old Vlad.
Good old Vlad. They can go horseback riding together. That'll be, although hopefully everybody keeps their shirt on this time.
Yes, please.
All right, everybody. Well, that is all that we have time for today. I want to thank everyone out there for watching and listening. Like Matt said, we are going to be off next week, but we will be back the week after that. So if you need more of us in your life in the meantime, head on over to Matt's channel at The Interesting Times UK for the latest Brit shit fits. And I will be back here on Friday with a new episode of Phoenix News. Till then, take care, everybody.
Bye-bye.